Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ciara Jessica Giron, and on my channel I like to talk about biology and mental health. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the art that I've created and the notes that I've taken as a schizophrenic inpatient of the mental health system in California. And I will include explanations and inspirations that compelled me to create these art pieces, and I think this will be a really fun video. So I hope you enjoy it. For the first art piece that I'm going to explain, it is called My Brain on Oxygen and Water. This is one of my older pieces, and I drew this piece when I was in a really stressful state because I really hated the mental health hospital that I was in at that time. And so during one of the art sessions, I started doodling. I started out with the colorful piece in the middle where I colored with crayon and pen. And then surrounding that colorful region, I started space filling or spatial drawing, whatever you want to call it, in a style that I used to draw in middle school. And this was the first time that I drew in this way in about 15 years, 15 years or more. And I kept drawing in pen, and the rest of this drawing came together. It was very reminiscent of the trademark drawings that I drew when I was in middle school, such as the flower, the butterfly, the guitar, and especially the musical ribbon that you see at the bottom of the page. This is one of my most beautiful trademarks, if I don't say so myself, because it sort of marries my love for music and drawing in one medium. So yes, this is called My Brain on Oxygen and Water because I think I drew it as a sort of reminder that I can be artistic and creative without being high or intoxicated. I have to admit that when I was trying psychedelic drugs in college, I was really chasing this artistic, creative feeling that I felt in middle school and high school. And I think I lost that artistic and creative thought process when I got to college because I was busy with school and relationships. Well, no romantic relationships, but school and career building activities. And I think this piece is a reflection of my younger self. And that's it for My Brain on Oxygen and Water. Mental health in biology terms. For this set of drawings, I was inspired by certain mental health concepts that make me think of molecular biology concepts, if those things aren't too hard to relate. So the first drawing that I drew is of the CRISPR-Cas9 system, and this is a molecular biology technique that basically cuts DNA or edits the DNA. And for this biological concept, I related it to expressing my thoughts from a different perspective. So if I can edit my DNA with this technology, I can edit my thoughts in a similar way. If I'm editing DNA, I can code the DNA to express genes in a healthier way. In the same way that I can edit the way I think so I can express my thoughts in a healthier way. This is the basic drawing of CRISPR. You can see there's an enzyme, which is the toothed shape, going towards the black shape on the DNA strand. And once the enzyme locks in with the black shape on the DNA strand, the right DNA strand is free to move about and can be edited. And so the next drawing on this page is gene expression. When I was thinking of gene expression, I was thinking of cognitive behavioral therapy, and this drawing would be a lot more accurate if the tRNA molecule was replaced with an RNA polymerase. If you think about gene expression is just the way that cells carry out DNA instructions for intracellular and extracellular behaviors. Cognitive behavioral therapy is also known as psychotherapy, where I verbalize my thoughts and figure out how I can change my thoughts to be more constructive and healthier. Basically, gene expression is like cognitive behavioral therapy because gene expression affects behaviors and my thoughts affect my behaviors. The third drawing that I have drawn at the end of this page is called Wearing Down of Ending Codons. Wearing down of ending codons is probably the easiest concept to understand in this set of concepts. I liken the wearing down of ending codons to stress, because stress really does wear down the ending codons of a DNA molecule. A DNA molecule is compiled into a chromosome and is capped with a very long train of A nucleotides. And over time, this A cap of nucleotides wears down, and eventually the DNA in the chromosome begins to break down. And I liken this to what happens when I'm stressed. My motivation is worn down and I feel less motivated to do my laundry, make my bed, eat at regular times, and those are the three concepts of mental health that I translated into molecular biology terms. Here's my origami box. For my next artistic section, I'm going to talk about the origami animals and things that I've made over the past 9 months. The first origami animal that I will introduce is Aquarius Rhine. He is a water dragon from the Netherlands, and when Aquarius Rhine's voice came into my head, he said that he was a water dragon and he wanted to have a name. And so I first thought of giving him a regular Dutch name that would belong to a human, and he said no. And so I went bigger and decided to name him Aquarius. And I named his middle name Rhine after the Rhine River in the Netherlands. So that's him. If he could fly off, he would. The next origami animal that I'm going to introduce is Elijah Jordan, the Asian elephant from the Straits of Jordan of Singaporean China. When I was folding Elijah Jordan, I thought his folding would be very difficult for me because I'd never I'd never folded anything more complicated than a crane. But when I finally folded him, he came out better than I expected, and the origami paper that I used fit his personality perfectly. And when I hear Elijah Jordan's voice in my head, I can literally hear elephant sounds, and it's kind of cool. Next we have Queen Meadow, the butterfly from the Rocky Mountains. I have never made a butterfly origami before, but she came out very crisp. She has a little rip right here, unfortunately, but her cuts are very crisp and her folds are very precise, if I do say so myself. And when her voice came to me in my head, she sounded royal, so I wanted to give her a royal sounding name. Queen Meadow is arguably one of the prettiest names that I have ever come up with. And for my last origami piece, I folded this origami heart. I named this heart Mi Corazon Verde. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I named this piece in Spanish because I've been listening to a lot of Spanish music lately. And that is it for my origami pieces. For the next piece that I'm going to explain is called My Love. I was inspired to draw a geometric shape using straight lines, and at the time I was in art session and the straightest thing that I had was an Uno card game box, so I used that box to create the 4 quadrants, and then I used the box again to create all of the different straight lines and angles that you see here. And so I named it My Love because each of the 4 quadrants represent how I love all of the different people in my life. So I'll start with the first quadrant, which is the upper right quadrant. That is how I love myself. The white space is how I communicate that my love is pure, and while there are shadows, I do love myself regardless. And the next quadrant that I'm going to explain is on the left lower quadrant. That is how I love my family. I know that there's always fluid love going through myself and through my family. I was also in a deep, dark place with my family specifically during that time, so that might be why I had a lot of dark color in that space. And on the lower right quadrant, I have solid colors colored in watercolor to represent how I love my romantic interests. Each person that I've been romantically involved with had his own personality and was very different from all of the rest of the guys that I've ever had things with, I guess. And for the last quadrant, the upper left quadrant, that represents how I love my female friends. Each of my female friends is special to me and helps remind me of myself in their own specific way, and I couldn't get through this life with schizophrenia without them. And this is a multimedia piece, so I have combined penmanship, watercolor, and crayons for this art piece. So for the next piece that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about Party in the Nucleus. This is one of my more recent drawings, and it is in my journal that I've been journaling in for the past month or so. And I'm really proud of this piece because it was sort of inspired by my love for biology and molecular biology. I sort of started out this piece not really knowing what I was going to draw, so I just started out with the diagonal shape of the squares that are colored in, going in at a slant. And then I started drawing the dark triangles around that shape, and it reminded me of how nucleotides are bound together chemically. And so once I got that idea in my head, I thought, this kind of looks like DNA. So I split that chain of squares, colored squares, and I started drawing shapes with a lot of dots and very spatial drawing, like how I was drawing with the first piece that I talked about. And it grew into a type of representation of DNA replication and transcription and RNA processing in the nucleus. You can see my trademark little diamonds or kites with the four dots around them. And I usually don't use this much color when I'm drawing, but the colored pencils that I had during this art session were so good that I had to keep using them. And you can see that the different mediators around the DNA and the products of the DNA sort of represent like an ecosystem of the different moving parts that keep DNA replication and transcription and RNA processing alive. And this ecosystem is very beautiful and colorful and can come in all shapes and sizes. And it's sort of a mirror to how maybe a small city might be contributing to the larger ecosystem of the world. And that's what I was thinking when I was going through this piece. Okay, so this art involves Darth Vader, and I don't even like Star Wars like that, but the voice in my head said he was Darth Vader, so I went with it. His voice said that he and a team of people were going to come in and break me out of the mental health hospital that I was at that time. So he told me where his exact coordinates are in space and time, and he told me to calculate out exactly how long it would take for his spaceship to get to Earth and to get to me to break me out of that mental health hospital. So I, always happy to do a math problem, used the conversions and yeah, there's no formulas. Conversions on the back of this notebook to calculate out the exact time and date that Darth Vader would come and rescue me. So I calculated it out, and my calculations told me that his spaceship would arrive on Earth on February 4th, 2023 at 7:19 p.m. and it would take him exactly 2 hours to get to where I was, and I would be broken out of that mental health hospital at 7:19 p.m. that night. Nothing happened at 9:19 p.m. that night, and I was very sad because I thought I was leaving that mental health hospital. But I did the math, and that's what's important, I think. Anyway, you can see from these pictures that I had my beautiful mind moment. I just proved to myself that I could do math. So I was very proud of that eventually after I got over being sad. And that concludes it for this video. I hope you liked all of my art pieces and my story time about Darth Vader and all of my geeky molecular biology knowledge. I hope you learned something or had a laugh or two about the art that I created. Hit that like button and subscribe if you like my material, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.